Let's get right into it. 1. Neglecting personal hygiene. The silent signal that pushes people away without you realizing it. Sometimes people don't distance themselves from you because of something big. Often it begins with something small, something you might not notice, and something they don't feel comfortable pointing out. One of those things, unfortunately, is something entirely within your control: how you care for your own body. As we age, our energy naturally declines. Many older adults stop maintaining personal hygiene as regularly as they once did. Not because they don't know how, but because of a quiet weariness that creeps in, whispering, "What's the point now?" Or, "At my age, who even notices anymore?" That line of thinking can slowly lead you to skip brushing your hair in the morning, wear the same shirt again because it still looks clean, or let your nails grow long because cutting them doesn't really matter. But what you consider minor, others do notice, clearly and quietly. The faint scent you leave behind in a room, the messy hair you didn't bother to smooth, the pajamas from yesterday you still have on. All of it paints an image that makes people hesitate to come closer. They still care, but they might choose to sit a little farther away. They still appreciate you, but their hugs might come less often. They still check in, but the conversations might grow shorter, not because they love you any less, but because your body in subtle ways is sending a message. I no longer believe I'm worth caring for. And that's a message no one ever wants to tell you directly. Personal hygiene has never just been about cleanliness. It's a form of energy. It's how you show up to the world and say, "I'm still here, I still love myself, and I still value the way you see me." A pressed shirt, neatly combed hair, trimmed nails. These are small, quiet signals that you are still fully present in your own life. No one will compliment you for doing these things, but they will feel it. They will open their hearts more, stay near you longer, and give you the respect you deeply deserve. Because that sense of care, even in the smallest form, is a kind of love. Not just for yourself, but for the people who continue choosing to stand beside you every single day. If you still believe that age is never a reason to stop loving yourself, leave a comment below. I still choose to care for myself every day. You deserve that love, and so does the world around you. 2. Speaking without a filter. When bluntness becomes an invisible barrier. One of the quiet changes that comes with aging is that the line between honesty and insensitivity starts to blur. As the years pile up, many people begin to feel they've earned the right to say whatever they think, without sugarcoating, without holding back. And they call it being honest. But what they don't realize is this: honesty without compassion can easily become harshness disguised as harmless truth. A comment about someone's weight, a judgment on how they raise their children, a critique on appearance, or even just a passing laugh at someone's expense can be enough to make the other person shrink inside. They won't confront you, they'll just quietly take a step back, and then another. Rarely will anyone say to your face, "That comment hurt me." Younger people especially avoid conflict with their elders. They choose silence. They share less. They hesitate to speak when you're in the room. Over time, private conversations become fewer because they're afraid that what you'll say next might make them feel inadequate, misunderstood, or simply not worth listening to. You may never have meant any harm, but if you often hear yourself saying, "I'm just being honest," it might be time to pause. Honesty itself is not the problem, but honesty without empathy can become a sharp blade. And once words fall into the silent space between two people, they're hard to take back. Don't trade human connection for the need to be right. Before you say something, ask yourself, would I say this to the youngest child in my family? If not, maybe it's not something that should be said to someone else's child either. And remember this: people respect you not because you say everything on your mind, but because you know when to speak, what to say, and why it matters to say it with kindness. If you too believe that gentleness in speech is a form of strength, leave a comment. I choose to speak the truth with compassion. That's how you make others feel heard, and how you quietly draw them closer. 3. Wearing inappropriate clothing. When comfort quietly turns into a sign of giving up. Not everything that pushes people away comes from words or actions. Sometimes it's just a fleeting glance. And what people often notice first isn't your eyes, but the clothes you're wearing. Many older adults fall into the habit of wearing the same old clothes. Faded shirts, tops that are too tight in the shoulders or too loose at the waist, sleeves worn thin at the cuffs. Not because they don't own newer clothing, but because they think as long as it's comfortable, it's fine. But comfort, when not paired with a bit of care, can send the wrong message. It quietly tells the world, I no longer care how I show up in life. You don't need designer clothes. You don't have to follow trends. But a well-fitting, clean shirt, a brighter color, or an outfit that suits the occasion, these small choices signal that you are still fully present and engaged with the world around you. Clothing is a silent language that speaks volumes about how you treat yourself. And whether they say it or not, people always respond to how you choose to show up for yourself. Your loved ones may not mention that your clothes look worn out. They won't tell you that an outfit no longer flatters your figure, but they'll notice. Quietly, they may think, maybe she stopped caring about herself. And even that fleeting thought can begin to create distance. Subtle but real. Dressing well isn't about impressing others. It's a gentle reminder to yourself. I still have value. I still have something to give. And I still want to be seen with respect. No one expects you to dress like you're 20 again, but they will feel touched when you choose a fresh blouse for a special occasion, smooth your hair before heading out, or even apply a bit of pink lipstick just to feel radiant. If you too believe that dressing well is a way to show love to yourself, leave a comment. I still choose to show up with self-respect. Because every time you look in the mirror with self-regard, you invite the world to see you through eyes filled with warmth and admiration. 4. Living in the past and forgetting the present. When memories become an invisible wall. Not all forms of distance are caused by actions. Sometimes distance grows from where you choose to live, not physically, but mentally. Many older adults continue to live in a time that is already past. They often repeat old memories, stories from their youth, tales of war, life before smartphones, or the days of rationing. And that's completely understandable, because memories help anchor us to ourselves, especially when the present feels too fast, too unfamiliar. But if every conversation centers around the past, if every gathering becomes a replay of the same old stories, then slowly you may find yourself physically present but emotionally absent. Your loved ones may sit beside you, but they may no longer feel like you're truly there with them. They still love you, but they feel sadness because they long for you to step into their world today. A world filled with new joys, fresh stories, modern technology, and unspoken worries they wish they could share with you. When you spend too much time in what once was, you unknowingly miss the chance to create new memories. Like the simple laughter that comes from listening to your grandchild's school story, or asking your children about their current work, or even just nodding supportively when they share something unfamiliar to you. These are all signs that you're still walking alongside them in their present life. You don't need to let go of the past, but you do need to step into today. Ask one more question. Nod and listen one more time. Instead of saying, back in our day, things were different, try asking, so how do you see it today? You might be surprised to find that what comes back isn't distance, but a closeness you've never felt before. If you also believe that aging doesn't mean living only in memories, leave a comment. I am returning to the present, because the only place where you can truly connect with your loved ones is in this moment, right now. 5. No longer saying thank you or I'm sorry when silence fades. Respect away after a lifetime of experiences, weathering storms, earning respect, and holding a position of significance within the family. Many older adults come to believe something quietly but deeply, that saying thank you or I'm sorry is no longer necessary. They think, at my age, everyone understands my heart. Or sometimes, perhaps without realizing it, they assume, I'm the elder. Young people should understand me, not the other way around. But that belief can unintentionally create distance, because no one, not even those closest to you, can truly feel your gratitude or your regret if you never speak it aloud. Silence cannot convey kindness, and the older you are, the more meaningful each spoken word of thanks or apology becomes, because it carries the weight of wisdom and the grace of humility. When you forget to say thank you after your child or grandchild helps you with something, When you brush past a needed apology because you unintentionally hurt someone, they may not confront you, but they will feel unacknowledged. They will quietly carry the thought that their feelings don't matter enough to be noticed. And slowly, just a little, distance begins to form. A once close bond may begin to feel guarded. The beauty is, you don't need to make grand gestures to change that. A simple, "Thank you for being here." A quiet whisper, "If what I said hurt you, I'm sorry." These words don't make you smaller. They make you larger in the heart of the person receiving them, because they are the clearest signs of a soul that remains gentle, even after all these years. People don't love you because you're always right. They love you because you're still kind enough to recognize when you might have caused pain, and humble enough to acknowledge it. If you also believe that kindness begins with the simplest things, leave a comment. I still choose to say thank you and I'm sorry every day. It's not just about good manners, it's a bridge that warms every distance in the hearts of those you love. 6. Interrupting or dominating conversations. When the desire to share quietly becomes overwhelming. After a lifetime of experiences, so many challenges overcome, so many lessons learned, it's only natural for older adults to carry within them a deep well of things to say. When your children or grandchildren tell a story, you might instantly think of something similar you've lived through. When someone complains, you recall how you once got through the same thing, and you want to offer advice right away. But between the desire to help and the act of cutting in, there lies a very thin line. And once crossed, you're no longer connecting. You're quietly taking over. Many older people don't interrupt on purpose, but unintentionally they turn conversations into lectures. They don't listen to understand. They listen to prepare a response. They don't share to walk alongside others. They share to lead. And over time, this can make the person on the other end feel unseen, unheard, and unimportant. For younger people especially, being interrupted or overruled in a conversation doesn't just kill their enthusiasm, it drains them. They begin to shorten their calls. They share less. Or they start saying neutral, surface-level things just to avoid being lectured. It's not a lack of respect. It's a quiet signal that they no longer feel truly heard. But here's the good news. The most powerful form of influence often comes from intentional silence. When you learn to pause at the right moment, when you ask a question instead of telling a story, when you nod instead of jumping in, you give the other person a rare and precious gift, the feeling of being fully heard. And that feeling will draw them closer, make them share more, and deepen their trust in what you say when it's your turn to speak. Listening has never been a passive act. It's a deliberate and powerful choice, and the person who knows when to pause and create space for others, that's the person who turns every conversation into something truly meaningful. If you too believe that sometimes speaking less makes others hear you more, leave a comment. I choose to listen to connect, because some things only reveal themselves when we're patient enough not to take over the room. 7. Complaining about the younger generation. When criticism becomes a barrier between generations, it's not uncommon for older adults to complain about the younger generation. They're always glued to their phones. None of them work as hard as we did. They get upset so easily, so soft these days. These remarks may seem harmless, or even like wisdom earned over time. But to younger people, they feel like silent needles that push them away from the conversation. The issue isn't that older people are wrong, it's that these comparisons make the younger generation feel excluded, judged, labeled as weak or inadequate simply for being born into a different world. When young people constantly hear that things were better back in your day, they stop feeling safe enough to open up about their lives. They go quiet, they give half-hearted replies, or they avoid long conversations altogether, because deep down the relationship no longer feels like a space where they'll be understood. What's most heartbreaking is this. Many older adults truly mean well. They want to share. They want to pass on life lessons. They want to help the younger generation grow. But a critical tone unintentionally shuts down the message. And the more you try to make them understand, the more they step back. Instead of judging, be curious. Ask a simple, connecting question. What's it like for you to live in today's world? That one question can open a door into a world you've never experienced. where young people feel seen, free to express themselves, and where you're no longer the one imposing, but the one who wants to understand. The greatest value of a seasoned life doesn't lie in telling others how to live, but in listening without judgment. That's what truly earns the respect and admiration of the next generation. If you also want to be someone who builds bridges, not walls, leave a comment. I choose to listen instead of compare. Because sometimes the greatest gift an older person can offer is the space for a younger one to find their voice. 8. Lacking courtesy in public. Small behaviors that quietly make others uncomfortable. When you step into a public space, the first thing others notice isn't your age, your education, or your appearance. It's how you carry yourself. And sadly, some unintentional behaviors can make older adults appear inconsiderate, even when that's never the intent. Things like speaking loudly on the phone, playing videos on speaker, blocking walkways, cutting in line, or interrupting service staff. These may seem like minor actions, but in a society that increasingly values subtlety and respect for shared spaces, such habits can come across as inconsiderate. Younger people likely won't say anything, out of politeness or respect for your age, but quietly they may begin to create distance, forming invisible walls over seemingly harmless behavior. The important thing is, most older adults don't mean to be disruptive. They're simply used to a different era, one where raising your voice was normal, where public etiquette wasn't a popular term, and where convenience often came before courtesy. But times have changed. Public spaces now belong to all generations, all cultures, and being observant, patient, and mindful of others has become a basic form of social respect. Adapting isn't hard. It starts with listening, lowering your voice when on a call, avoiding blocking pathways, waiting your turn, using headphones instead of loudspeakers. These small changes don't take away your rights. In fact, they earn you more respect. Because refinement, at any age, is always a quality admired by others. You don't need to be trendy or youthful. You just need the willingness to make others feel comfortable around you, to share space in a way that doesn't make anyone feel awkward or uneasy. If you also believe that kindness in public begins with the smallest gestures, leave a comment. I choose to be mindful so others feel at ease. Because sometimes a little consideration is the very thing that makes you more likable than anything else. 9. Talking too much about illness. Unintentionally making others hesitate to be close. Health becomes a big part of life as we age. But when every conversation centers around back pain, high blood pressure, new prescriptions, or your latest doctor visit, you may unknowingly turn the dialogue into a loop that weighs down the other person, leaving them unsure how to respond. It's not that they don't care, it's that they feel powerless. They can't fix it. They don't know what to say beyond, "I'm sorry to hear that," or "hang in there," and then quietly feel guilty for walking away without being able to help. This happens so often that many loved ones, especially younger ones, begin to hesitate before engaging. They worry that every visit will be filled not with smiles or lighthearted stories, but with updates that drain their mood. And even though they love you, they're still human. And humans are naturally drawn to what feels light, hopeful, and uplifting. There's nothing wrong with sharing about your health. The key is balance. Let it be a part of the conversation, not the whole thing. Make space for joy, the delicious meal you tried, the book you're reading, the flower you noticed this morning. These small moments are the heartbeat of life, the ways you continue to stay connected to the world beyond the clinic walls. Let others remember you not only as someone who's ill, but as someone who's still fully alive, with thoughts, feelings, curiosity, and your own quiet charm. Because the way you talk about life determines whether others will want to walk that journey alongside you. If you also believe that health should be shared in moderation, so there's room for joy and hope in every conversation, leave a comment. I choose to add something positive every day. It's one simple way we can keep our relationships warm and lighthearted. 10. Being stubborn or rigid in opinions. When being right creates distance. 1. Common trait that often appears with age is an unshakable belief in one's own experience. Like a stone foundation, solid and unmoving. But sometimes that very foundation makes others hesitant to come closer. Have you ever felt this happen? A gentle conversation suddenly shifts. A difference of opinion arises, the mood drops, the other person goes quiet, offers a polite smile, and withdraws. They don't say it, but they step back, not out of disrespect, but because it feels like everything they say will be dismissed with a quiet wave. I know already, no need to explain. Being firm in your beliefs is not a fault. It's a protective layer life has wrapped around those who have lived through much. But when that layer becomes too thick, it doesn't just shield you, it also blocks connection from coming in. Family members stop offering their thoughts. Children and grandchildren no longer speak freely. Topics get avoided, emotions stay buried. And sometimes, even in a house filled with laughter, you can suddenly feel isolated, right in the middle of the people you love most. Changing a little doesn't mean abandoning who you are. On the contrary, it's how you open new doors within yourself. Doors others can gently walk through without fear of judgment. When you softly say, "I'm not sure, tell me what you think," you aren't weakening. You're becoming stronger than ever because you're choosing to listen instead of asserting. You're placing the relationship above your ego, and that creates a rare and powerful kind of beauty, one only those who've lived deeply can truly embody. Sometimes what people remember most about you is not how often you were right, but how often they felt respected standing in front of you. If you're learning to open your heart a little more, to truly connect with those you love, leave a comment. I'm learning to listen, because an open heart will always be a place others long to return to. 11. Neglecting health. When the silence in your body speaks a deeper sadness. There comes a point in some people's lives when they stop going for regular checkups, stop taking their medication on time, stop eating mindfully, and stop caring about exercise. Not because they don't know what's good for them, but because somewhere deep down, a quiet thought begins to form. At my age, what's the point of trying anymore? At first glance, it may seem like acceptance of reality, but beneath that surface, it's often a quiet retreat, a gentle stepping back from life. No drama, no announcement, no disruption, just the absence of care, the absence of belief that maintaining one's health still matters, the absence of motivation to keep trying, to keep showing up for life. The people around you, your loved ones, they notice it all. They see when you skip meals. They know when you hide your pills instead of taking them. They hear the words, "I'm fine," and sense the truth you're not saying, that you're tired. And what hurts them most isn't your physical weakness. It's the fear that you've stopped wanting to stay strong. That kind of letting go isn't just physical. It's a message that makes others quietly afraid. Are you slowly leaving, even while you're still sitting there? Taking care of your health isn't just about living longer. It's about living fully, living with awareness, living so that no one has to wipe away silent tears, wondering why you've given up. Living so that meals are filled with ease, and every hug isn't shadowed by sadness. And living to tell the world, through even the smallest actions, that you still want to be here. Sometimes all it takes is a glass of water on time, a few steps down the street, a proper breakfast. These small acts quietly say, "I love myself enough to care," and they bring peace to those who love you too, because they see you haven't let go. If you're ready to begin that gentle journey back to self-care, leave a comment. I will start taking care of myself again. Because health isn't about proving anything, it's about showing up fully for the days that remain. 12. Speaking loudly or harshly. When your voice becomes an invisible barrier. There are some people who, the moment they walk into a room, everyone falls silent. Not out of respect, but because their voice is too loud. Some even raise their voice, interrupt, or speak over others just to make themselves heard. And then they explain it simply. "I've always talked loudly," or "If I don't speak up, no one listens." But what they may not realize is this. What others shy away from isn't just the sound, it's the emotion behind it. For younger people, volume isn't just about loud or soft. It's the energy you bring into the conversation. A loud voice, if used at the wrong time, can come across as controlling, impatient, or unaware of how others are feeling. When you unconsciously raise your voice in a quiet space, when you snap over something small, it's no longer just about how you speak, it becomes how you're perceived. Over time, loved ones begin to pull away. They avoid sitting near you at meals. They call less often. Their answers grow shorter, their nods more reserved, their smiles more polite than warm. Not because they don't care, but because they're uneasy. They dread having to brace themselves to hear you speak. They fear being interrupted, overruled, or misjudged. And little by little, the atmosphere thins. The relationship grows distant. Do you know what quietly powerful thing happens when an older person softens their voice? People lean in. They slow down, listen more closely, and connect more deeply. Because speaking gently doesn't make you weaker, it makes you more profound. People don't truly listen because you speak loudly. They listen because you speak with care, with timing, and with presence. So if you've ever noticed yourself speaking louder than necessary, and you're now choosing to soften, not to please others, but to preserve warmth in your connections, leave a comment. I'm learning to be more gentle. Because in the end, what stays in the hearts of others is not how loud your voice was, but how warm it made them feel. We've just walked through 12 habits that may seem small, but can quietly make others feel uncomfortable, distant, or disconnected from you. And the saddest part is, no one ever tells you. Not because they don't care, but because they're afraid of hurting your feelings. But it's out of love that we chose to create this video. So you'd know that sometimes, just a small adjustment, a gentle shift in how you live or relate to others, can be enough to heal, to reconnect, and to make the people who love you feel truly close to you again. The most important message in this video isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about awareness, about being willing to reflect with compassion and choosing to live more beautifully each day. And the wonderful truth is, it's never too late to change. You don't have to become someone else. Just return to the kindness, the thoughtfulness, and the warmth that have always been part of who you are. If even one part of this video made you reflect, recognize something in yourself, or inspired you to make a small change, please leave a comment below. Even something as simple as, "I've started to change," lets us know that this video meant something to you. And if you'd like to support the channel so we can continue creating content like this, feel free to click the Super Thanks button below. Your small gift helps us keep this message going strong. Finally, if you'd like to continue your journey of healing and self-growth, don't forget to check out the video showing on your screen now, or choose a topic from our channel recommendations on the side. We truly believe that at any age, you deserve to live as the most peaceful, beautiful version of yourself. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Live gently and live fully present. We'll see you in the next video.